Okay guys, so welcome to the new video, and in this video we are going to talk about what the fuck is localhost. Okay, so in this video we are going to talk about what exactly is localhost. So as a developer we encounter localhost stuff in our day-to-day life, whether we are running our React program, whether we are running our Python program, and even if you're starting as a web developer and you're playing around with HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So we all know there is something that exists as localhost, but what exactly it is, right? So localhost is nothing but an address to your own system. Okay, every system has its own address and they are termed as localhost. Imagine here a person, let's say one. Okay, so this person when goes into his or her system and types something like localhost. So now this person one is on the address of its own computer. Similarly, if there is a person two goes on and types localhost. So both of them are on localhost, but on their respective system. They are not going to interact with each other. So it's like me sitting in my room, you sitting in your room. We all have our space, right? Same goes with the computer. Okay. Now let's look into some formal definition of localhost. So localhost literally means this computer, address to a particular computer. When you type localhost in your browser or terminal, your computer connects to itself through a special IP address that is 127.0.0, that is for IPv4, and double colon 1 for IPv6. Okay, so what happens is if I go to my terminal and I type localhost, then my system will connect to itself, right? Using these particular IP addresses. Okay, let's try it out. So I go and I type search for terminal. And I simply come here and uh, let's write it out. So local host. Okay. So the term local host is not recognized as the name of CMD let function script. Now, what is this? According to me, it should show something like some connection request or something like that. But why it's not giving us anything? Instead, it's giving us some error. So there is a trick. Now, what is the trick? Let me explain you. And the answer for the error that we got right now is right in front of your screen. What localhost actually means, before running it out directly in our terminal, we need to understand. So localhost is not a PowerShell command, right? It's a host name where your uh, stuff are running, where your servers are running. Not exactly servers, but we can say that refers to your own computer. It is used in networking or browsers to access a server running on your own machines. That's what I told. So example, in a browser when we type localhost 3000, especially if you are running a next application. Now, in terminal commands, you cannot simply type localhost because that's not a PowerShell command, right? You have to write ping localhost. Let's try it out with this. So ping localhost. Okay. Now we got something. Pinging others, double colon one with byte two of data, some sort of stuff is there. So now, as I told you above, right here, that whenever we are connecting with our local host, it will connect to 127.0.01 for IPv4 or double colon 1 for IPv6. Right. So here you can see pinging others double colon 1. So this is sort of self-explanatory. Right. But why do we need localhost? That's the question, right? So the answer is right here. Why the hell localhost exists? So in early computer networking, developer needed a way to test network program locally without needing an external network or let's say server. So suppose localhost is not there. For a second, let's assume localhost is not there. You're running an application on React or on Next or let's say normal JavaScript, HTML and CSS. Where the hell will you go to see the output, right? So engineers reserved a block of IP that is nothing but 1.127.0.0 for this particular purpose. The very first address 127.0.1 was chosen as the loopback address. Now, what is loopback address? This term itself is quite explanatory. right? Loopback address, and it's now recognized universally. Now, so we need to understand what exactly is loopback and how does it works. Okay, so that is it. A loopback address is a special IP address that allow your computer to talk to itself. It's just an address that will give the power to your computer so that it can talk to itself. Okay, without using any external network. And that is why it works even without internet. Think of it like when you send a letter to your own address, it never leave your house. So you're not going to pay for it, right? So similarly, if you are not going to connect to some external server, you are connecting to your own system where you're already in, so you don't have to have internet, right? Similarly, when you send data to a loopback address, it never leaves your computer. So whatever we are doing, it's completely in our system and we want the output to be in our system, which was already there, right? Now, just imagine, just look into this diagram. Yeah, I copied it. So, suppose this is my device and I just request any URL, let's say google.com or something like that, right? So first of all, it will send the request to the DNS, domain name server, and then DNS will map to a particular IP, which will go to the server of that particular domain. So when we are doing web development or when we are hosting anything, we talk about servers. Okay, what are servers? Servers are nothing but a physical device, right? So servers are physical device which are mapped using IP address. So if I request for any URL, it will go through the DNS, look out for the particular IP address and connect me to the server. But in the case of my own system, if I just want to go through the local host, what will happen? This entire scenario will be cancelled, right? How? So suppose this is your system and you are making a request, right? And that goes to your fallback URL. Okay, fallback URL, or you can simply say loopback address, right? So that will go to your fallback URL or loopback address, right? And this loopback address will again redirect to your system, and that is why it is known as loopback address. Got it? Now, next part is something about IP and ports. And why do we need to understand IP and ports? Okay, I'll tell you. IP address identify which machine you are talking to. So every machine, you already know, right? Every machine has its own IP address, Internet Protocol address, right? And that identifies which machine you're talking to. Now we have a port number, right? So port number identify which program you are talking to on that machine, right? So suppose I write 127.0.0.1 colon 8000. So here we all know that this part is our computer, that is loopback or fallback address, right? But now 8000 is nothing but the port where your local web server listen. Each service like HTTP, FTP, MySQL runs on a different port, right? So if you are running let's say we supported React program, so you know that will run on 5173. If you run a next program, that may run on 3000. If that port is busy, it will redirect it to something as 3001. All right, so this is how port basically work. Okay, now, okay guys, so the last part is the summary. What exactly is a local host? A local host is an address to your system itself. We use it for testing, development, and other purposes. Why it was created, we talked about that in detail, and then we looked into what is a loopback address that basically redirect all the requests back to your machine, how addresses and servers work in real scenario, and how they work when we are using localhost. Okay, so yeah, that's all. We'll meet